Saturday marks the 56th anniversary of the 1967 referendum that formally recognised Aboriginal Australians. To learn more about how this changed Australia and now informs the Voice referendum, I'm joined by Victorian Barrister Stuart Wood's KC. I'm still getting used to the KC, not the QC. Stuart, thank you for your time.
Pleasure, Peter.
They often point to the 67 referendum and say this is unfinished business. This is Labor's argument. Perhaps because the 67 referendum happened under the Liberal government, they want to say it's unfinished. But does the 67 referendum give government all it needs? Do we need the voice?
No, we don't need the voice. The idea that there's anything that needs to be done beyond that which was done in 1967 is not correct. 1967, there were two aspects to 1967. The only one the Labor Party talks about is the fact that Aboriginals are now counted. Everyone accepts that that was an appropriate amendment to make, and it was voted up by 90%. But the thing that's ignored is the other aspect of the 67 referendum, that is the Commonwealth gained power over Aboriginal affairs. It had never had it before. There'd been attempts to give it to the Commonwealth before. John Curtin went to a referendum in 1944 and failed to give the Commonwealth power over Aboriginal affairs. Menzies was against it, and it took Holt when Menzies had resigned at the beginning of 66 and Holt had his huge victory at the end of 66, Holt then changed Liberal Party policy. And the referendum that went to the people in May 67 was one that had two aspects: to give the Commonwealth complete power over Aboriginal affairs. And everything that's been done since, from the first consultative committees, the sort of everything leading up to the ATSIC
and beyond.
And beyond.
A myriad of bodies now.
About 20 of them have been based on the fact that Holt achieved that extraordinary in the sense that it was against the policy of Menzies, extraordinary in the sense that 90% of people voted for it, and extraordinary in the sense that it's enabled the Commonwealth to have perfect power in relation to Aboriginal affairs ever since.
So just taking this out a little further then, of course, if the government wanted to have an advisory body, they could have it now. They don't need this constitutional change. When you query them on that, they say, well, this is not about that. This is just about goodwill. This is about recognising Aboriginal people in the Constitution. But as Pat Conahan proves, it's a hell of a lot more than that, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the point is, the Constitution is a serious document. You don't go and have heart surgery because it's good manners to have heart surgery. You have heart surgery because you've got a problem with your heart. Every time there's an attempt to change the Constitution, of all the 44 times, there's been an identifiable problem. It might be a problem that the High Court has knocked off some legislation. It might be a problem that the state premiers are acting badly, as they did with the replacement of Vince Gare in 1975 by Bjelke Petersen, not replacing him with a member of his own party. But there's a problem that's identified, and then an amendment is put up to deal with the problem. Here, there's no problem.
Do you think that's why, I think the government likes to think Australians are pretty stupid. They're not into constitutional detail, and he can fool them into voting for this thing on the vibe. But that point you make about how many referendums fail, the fact that the only times they've got up is people have been convinced that there's a problem that needs fixing. Do you think the Australian public perhaps take this role of assessing their constitution quite seriously, and the absence of information from the government is making them more sceptical over time rather than winning them over?
Well, it should. I mean, this is the problem with the proposal by the government. It's not coming forward with the sort of detail that it could come forward with that would explain to the people, this is the voice that we propose. What it's being tackled at, it is a level that doesn't need to be tackled at, the constitutional level. It doesn't need to be tackled at that level, and it shouldn't be. It should be tackled at the legislative level because there's enough power for the Commonwealth to do what it likes.
Because where we started in 67.
Because of 67. And this sort of deliberate sort of amnesia about what happened in 67 is a problem twofold, because people forget or don't know or not informed that there's enough power in the Commonwealth Parliament to do what it likes. And second, this is a very important social development. I mean, it was one of the two main achievements of the Holt government. Holt was only around for 2 years. And this achievement is totally lost.
Just quickly, that issue with Justice Harrison in New South Wales, on his official email account ticking off an MP. I won't go back through the entrails of the issue. But if an MP had a crack at a judge during a court case, they'd be all hell to pay. There hasn't been a lot of noise around this for the criticism going the other way. And to throw a barb of racist at an MP, it just shows how debased this whole debate about the voice has become, and I think it'll only get worse.
Oh, well, I don't know the judge. I'm not here to sort of criticise him. It's obviously a mistake. You've got to take a balance sheet to this. The judge, when he presided over the Chris Dawson case, was a triumph of the administration of justice. It made me
but if an MP criticised a judge, they'd be in trouble. How can a judge get away with just criticising an MP?
Well, the judge has been chided gently by the Chief Justice. But the big problem here is really the failure of the New South Wales Bar. Because the New South Wales Bar is a cheerleader for the voice, because they came out a month ago and said that we support this political step.
That's perhaps incited all of this activity.
Well, not so much that it's incited it, but it means they can't do their job. The New South Wales Bar is the one that stands between the politician and the judges, and it tells the politicians, criticises them when they step out of their lane, and it's the one that criticises judges when they step out of their lane. The New South Wales Bar has been completely silent because it can't fulfil its role of actually trying to protect the administration of justice and the rule of law. Why? Because it's part of the political movement. And that's a big mistake. And so the Chief Justice had to be the one that came out and said something.
I'm sure I'm going to talk to you a lot between now and the likely vote in October. Stuart Wood, thank you.
Pleasure, Peter.